JAKPA Stories. Buckle up, buckle up. We're going for a ride. It's going down. We're going for a ride. Hey, it's going down. We're going for a ride.
All right. Welcome, everybody. And I am so delighted to see all of you. This is a big night for us. And what we're trying to build here is community. Now, JAKPA Stories is very personal to me and is very personal to a lot of people. All right? It's a word that we imported this word from Nigeria. It's a Yoruba word. The word in itself, for most people, it has a stigma attached to it. Because when you think about immigration, most people see immigration in a different light. But a lot of economies will not be able to do what they're doing without immigrants. So the reason why we started JAKPA Stories is because we want to amplify the voices of every immigrant. What you're doing matters, your story matters. And when I think about my own journey, when I came to Canada, I wish I had someone that would hold my hand and just walk me through a couple of hurdles. I would have moved a lot more faster. I would have gotten to where I needed to be a lot more faster. And that's why I'm very passionate about helping other immigrants to succeed. And the only way we want to do that is if we amplify the voices of everybody sitting here and other immigrants, your experiences. Think about someone who is about embarking on that journey. Think about someone who is just thinking about immigrating, but they've not made up their mind. Think about someone who is in the process. Think about someone who just arrived and is trying to find their feet and trying to navigate all the challenges that stand before us. That's what JAKPA Stories is all about. It's all about you. It's all about me. It's all about us sharing our experiences, sharing our stories, both the struggles, both the triumphs, so that others can learn from it and move a lot more faster. For most people, when you connect with people every day, everybody's going through a whole lot, right? It's not written on their faces. Everybody's just navigating different things. The best way to know how to navigate it, it's not written on their faces. But how they come out on the other side really matters a whole lot. Now, for me, my journey has not been easy. I've had to navigate some really solid hurdles. But being on this other side, I still look at the positive side of life. I still look at the positive side of everything. The topics that we want to talk about are the topics that people shy away from talking about. For example, why is the divorce rate in Canada very high? Any thoughts? Those are hot topics that some people only have those conversations within smaller groups. Why is it tough for immigrants to get the job that they're really, their dream job? Sometimes you hear about Canadian experience, you hear about other things that are glass ceiling or blockers that sort of pause you from moving forward. We want to be able to dive deep into those topics. We want to be able to talk about those different things that most people would not want to really open up. But in the process of doing this, think about someone who is navigating that particular experience. I've personally mentored a lot of people ever since I got to Canada. Maybe someone just hears, oh, Divine works here, connect with him. I will work with you until you succeed. I know most of us are doing that, but if we're just doing that within our sphere of contact, it limits us to the number of people that we can connect with. Now, when our voices get amplified, you're not just reaching out to 5 people, 10 people, you're reaching out to thousands of people. I'm going to kick it off by welcoming some really amazing people who have had a lot more experience, even more than myself. And these are veterans in their own field. These are people who have had amazing journeys, not easy ones, but journeys where they've been able to get through and get to the other side. Our very first panelist tonight, joining us today is someone who is very passionate and is a product evangelist. And he comes with over a decade of experience across the IT industry. He's the CEO of Impactful Living, Cyberberg Consulting, and AA Grills and Bites. Beyond his professional achievements, he is also a published author, faith and spiritual mentor, and a dynamic leader committed to empowering people with a life of purpose. We're very excited to have him on the panel today to share his insights and experiences. Without further ado, please welcome Arthur Ogundu, the first panelist. Okay, moving on to the second panelist. Help me welcome Dr. Debbie Obah.
I'm just known as Dr. Debbie or Debbie. I'll say this is my 20th year practicing outside Nigeria. So I trained in Ireland, in Dublin, Ireland, and I have a son in college, and I don't know. I think you covered it, the whole basis. Yeah,
I did. Okay.
Yeah. And like you said, I'm into ER, and I used to do a lot of ERs, and I went into dermatology 10 years ago, and I'm, mostly invested in darker skin, so ethnic skin. But I see all skin types, all ages, but yeah.
I like that. With everything going on right now, was there something that pushed you to focus more on darker skin as part of your practice?
Yeah, I think it's my own story, my own JAKPA story. I had very bad skin. I struggled a lot. I was looking for solutions, and everywhere I went, in Dublin, in Canada, they're like, we can't do anything with your skin tone. I had my money, and I would go to the best of the best, and they're like, we don't have laser for your skin, we don't have this and that. So it was more of me looking for answers, right? So I decided to be the solution, to do the research and, find something for myself. I think that started like 15 years ago, and then I went full-blown 10 years ago.
Amazing. So in the process of wanting to get solution for yourself, you couldn't find it, and you became the solution for other people.
100%, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think for most of us, this could sound very familiar as well. Sometimes you're trying to do something, a person that has your skin color, someone that looks like you has probably not done it. It doesn't mean it cannot be done. Maybe sometimes it's just a cue to say, you go do it, because you could be a solution for other people.
Exactly.
That's really great. Mr. Arthur.
My brother.
Or as we call you, Emeka.
Yes.
Let's come back home. So I want to make sure I did justice to your introduction as well.
Yeah, you did. You did.
Okay.
You did justice, but...
All right. I would go back to the most latest entrepreneurial venture that you got into, A&A or double A Grills.
Yeah. So AA Grills and Bites, you missed that. It's actually a passion project, like for myself and my partner. It's something that we've loved, like doing, like for the longest time. Like we just gather people around and we grill, invite people, And we've been doing this for so long now. And I think the more we did it, like the better we got. And people always like used to mention and tell us like, hey, like, why don't you try doing this as a business? And it's, yeah, like for 2+ years going, they always say that. And we're like, yeah, we'll probably think about it. And that's one day we just decided, you know what, let's give it a try. And we did.
Good. So in terms of challenges, like what would you say are some of the challenges that tested you the most?
So about double
Because-
A or my story?
Yeah, because I think in line with the entrepreneurial side of things, most of us, while we're working, a lot of us do a 9 to 5, right? In the process of doing 9 to 5, we're also thinking about some extra things on the side that we want to do. Sometimes we take the step too quickly and we jump into that venture and we drop our 9 to 5. And then in the process, we get burned. So how did you navigate some of those challenges? Because I think there are a lot of people here. I've spoken with a lot of folks here in the audience, and most people are always thinking about what can I start on the side? Because this 9 to 5, nobody wants to do it forever.
Going to make me go spiritual now. Yeah, so I would say, honestly, like for double A, and like some of you here know my story and my journey, you've read my book. I would say with double A, I didn't necessarily go through those challenges that I've previously experienced in the past in terms of setting up a business. And the reason I would say I didn't go through those challenges is because I feel double A was purpose-led. Like since I started like this new journey and this new path that I am on, like I'm a Jesus baby. Like before I step into anything, like I always seek guidance like from God. Like I make sure it's something that is aligned, like he once planned, like, you know, that is part of his plan for me. So I just don't jump in. And it's funny he said this because I have a story to share about like double A and how it was done. But like in terms of how I opened that, like I prayed about it, I got confirmation, and I jumped on it. I went ahead and I started like the business with double A. And funny, like why you said that, I would say like in the first opening we did, as much as it looked as good like in the outside as it was, like there were a lot of people that came, there were a lot of things, like typically you say like in quote like it was a success, right? But the backstory behind it was it didn't do as well as I hoped it would. And when I started thinking about everything and I was looking at the number of people that came, I looked at the amount of grills we made there, like we're standing for 10 hours. I was looking at everything and I was talking to God and I was like, how? Like what happened? Like you told me, I got confirmation from you. You told me to do this. I jumped into this. So why didn't we meet like our agreement, pretty much like what I thought I hoped that we'll get to? And what he told me was like, look around. Like, you know, like I started looking at the videos that were there, look around. And he asked a question. It was like, how does this glorify me? And it was like, it hit me because I'll tell you something like about like this journey. It's everything I do, like this is where I am now. Like everything I do is to glorify God. So when I asked that question and he asked me that question, I looked at it. I now saw there were certain things I should have done. So yes, I heard from him and he said, go ahead, right? But I didn't go back. And I think that's it for people. That's getting that clarity. So a lot of us, like, you know, we may have plans and like say you want to start something. Oh, good, you want to start this venture, you jump into it. But before jumping in, like go back and said, okay, it's just like you want to build a house. Like he tells you, go and build a house. I went and I just started building the house. I didn't go back to sit with him and say, what type of house do you want me to build? Is it a duplex? Is it a townhouse? Is it a bungalow? Like, what is it? Like, how many rooms? How many, like, washrooms? All of that, like the going deep down into it.
Getting all the details
exactly,
and
the
be
details.
clear.
So that's something I've learned now. So I would say if you apply that even from like not even like spiritual, but from like work like place perspective, like if you want to start something, before you just jump in, I think you need to start breaking it down. You know, this is the plan. Like this is what you wanted to. So in terms of what does success look like for you, like to get you define that and you start breaking it down. That's what I'll say.
Thank you. Really, really appreciate that insight. Dr. Debbie, back to you. I feel like you've sort of redefined success in your industry. When it comes to skincare, navigating where you used to live in Ireland and moving over to Canada, what would you say were some of the challenges as a person of color getting into that particular part of the industry? I don't think I've seen a lot of people. What would you say were some of the things that you navigated? Were there times where you had to pause and like, am I really going the right direction? Can I drop the ball here? And what are the things that kept you going till date?
Yeah. So, like I said, it was more like personal journey for me. I was looking for answers for myself. And, you know, when I started, there wasn't much of like YouTube or Instagram. So I felt like I was in a silo, just myself. I thought I was the only one who had the problem. I was the only one who needed solution. Were there problems I navigated? Yes. Number one is training. There's no medical books then or even now that you will see a lot of black skin disorders, right? And we are now forming groups and pushing for a change. We're pushing very aggressively that medical books have to be changed. Some of us are lucky to be training some resident doctors, so we're starting with those ones. But when I started, there was no, like, if you look at things like rosacea, there's something we call rosacea. If you see someone of a lighter skin tone, if they're standing even far from you, you would know this person has rosacea. Rosacea gives you this pink or red hue on your cheeks and nose. Oh, that person has rosacea. Anybody can diagnose it. But what if a person of my skin tone or darker has rosacea? How do you diagnose it? And unfortunately, we're in 2025. A lot of doctors can diagnose that. And when I say a lot of doctors, I mean dermatologists, right? They still can diagnose it. Since I've started this, when I started this, especially here in Alberta, there was no doctor doing ethnic skin. I came in and I honed into ethnic skin. At the time I was coming in, I realized that it was actually a problem. There's this big population of black or darker skinned people who don't have solutions, who are the way I was before. So I had all the confidence to get in there. So when I started now, a lot of doctors now realize, okay, there's Dr. Debbie now. We're going to send her all these patients. But when I was training, for instance, when I started my aesthetic training 12 years ago, and I'll go for a conference, and many times I'm the only black person there. And you have all these laser companies coming to sell their machines and all that. And so the attendees who are also doctors like myself, we are asked to come in and try this machine. And so everybody stands up, and then I'm standing up with the rest of them. They're like, sorry, Dr. Debbie, you may have to see that out. This is not for your skin color. And I'm like, I paid it the same amount. So these also made me more confident knowing that I need to find a solution. So fast forward to today, I would say that I'm so happy that there are companies now that realize that there's a gap in care for darker skin tone. They've made lasers for that. I'm so proud to say that my clinic has the most amount of laser for dark skin in the whole of Western Canada. My principle is if I can't use it on my skin, I'm not buying it. So all the laser companies, when they're trying to sell me, I'm like, hold on, can I use it on my skin? They're like, I'm like, sorry. So yeah, those were the challenges I faced. Yeah.
Amazing. All right. We're going to keep it open for Q&A. we're not just going to be the ones talking, okay? I'm sure some of you, while the conversation is going on, you're probably having one or two things you want to throw out there. We're going to pause right now and keep it open. If you have any questions, either for Dr. Debbie or for Arthur, just raise your hand. The mic is going to get to you.
My question is, a lot of times when we're navigating spaces, especially I'm also usually the only Black woman in STEM spaces, we have to rely on allies. And so I guess my question is, how are you guys navigating identifying allies and also, I guess, building trusting and beneficial relationships with your allies?
I like what you're asking because I always talk about mentorship. I always talk about being a mentor or getting a mentor, right? So you can find those on social media. You can also find those in your community, depending on what kind of thing you're doing. Right now, because a lot of people know me now, they kind of send me messages like, for instance, you guys contacted me like, oh, do you want to come share your info? It's just because I put myself out there, right? So yeah, that's where to find those. I don't know if I did justice to the question. It's just something, yeah? Okay.
Let me just add to that a bit. Like, so in terms of allies, like I always believe in partnership and collaboration. So like Doctor just mentioned here, like when you're starting stuff like that, I'll say the first place you will probably want to look at is your immediate network. And that's what I did. Like, so in everything I do, like I look at my network and I see if there are people within that need to have some of the qualifications or some of the skill sets that I need in my business. So those are the first people I reach out to and try to like build something with them before I even take it out there. But like she said, social media has also made it the world a much smaller place. So you can also reach out to people out there, like if you need to collaborate or partnership. But I definitely believe in that, like two heads better than one.
Yeah, I think, social media, a lot of us are still trying to get comfortable with social media. I always joke about it. I'm like, TikTok, I'm not a TikTok person. Sometimes you go in there, there's a whole lot going on, and you have to, it takes a while to catch up. But with the power of social media right now, we cannot underestimate what you can do with social media. A lot of us connect on social media. Fast forward, we're still like really good friends after. A lot of, coincidentally today, one of the panelists that was supposed to be here, who happens to have a conference tomorrow, we connected on social media. And while I was trying to pick up some of the last minute things over here, I went to one of the stores, and coincidentally, we ran into each other. He couldn't recognize me. We couldn't, and I was like, we've been talking, right? But the moment I mentioned my social media handle, he was like, oh, it's you? And I'm like, yeah, it's me. So we hugged, and, we started talking about next steps from there. But it just gives you an idea of the power of social media. Most of the time, you don't need to know someone one-on-one, but a lot of us are building those connections and those allies from there. When it comes to immigrants shaping the culture and the economy, I'm going to use Canada because this is our home right now. What do you think are some of the challenges, and what do you think is the best way to ensure that immigrants have larger voices and make more impacts here in Canada?
Okay.
Are we doing ladies first or gents?
No, I'll go first. One of the challenges, I would say, so coming into Canada, I realized something, and I noticed something. Canada is very monopolistic in terms of the economy. So if we look at the telco sector and the airline, airspace, like it's the same thing. Like you have maybe just 2, 3 like companies running the whole game. And that's what you find across a lot of businesses here in Canada. So in terms of immigrants coming in and like thriving, I would say the best way we can do this is pretty much like what you're doing right here now. Like we need to speak up. We need to put our stories out there in front of everybody. We need to actually take a stand because all this stuff is not going to change. Like, and it's something that's, I mean, like change starts, like it's gradual, but it's the more we keep doing like all of this, the more we hope like this change that we want to impact will begin to happen. And I would say like for immigrants and everybody here, like I'll just say, go ahead, like you have an idea, try and push it, find ways to amplify your voice, find ways to be in the spotlight. Like, like you hear from one of the other panelists here, like who's my friend, doing a great job in that space as well too. And these are the ways I feel that we can begin to break this barrier. Because if we look at Canada, like again, as much as it is a big, like, country, like I still look at it as a developing country because there are a lot of opportunities when you go out from that monopolistic economy. Like it brings about more opportunities. Like if we start looking at what the United States have done compared to what we've done, like you can see there's room for growth. And that's why a lot of immigrants still come to Canada because they see that potential, they see that room. So like I said, it's a gradual process, not something that's going to happen overnight because this is what they've been used to. But obviously you want to get your voice out, you want to amplify your voice, get your solution, get your product, whatever it is you're doing, like get it out there in public, let people see it. And the more people see it, the more like this change will begin to happen because they will know that, yeah, like we have a voice, like you said, and this is one of the platforms we can use to do that. We have a voice, we have a story, and we can share that with everyone in the world. Hope I
Amazing. Thank you.
that.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Dr. Debbie?
I think Emeka did a very great job there. Just because we're wrapping up, I'm not going to try to repeat what he's saying, but I want to take a 180 Divine, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Just because I want to take this opportunity as a healthcare professional. Is there any doctor in the audience or someone who's a physician back home or trying to get into the medical field here in the audience? Okay, so I had two things that was in my mind, like that were in my mind. One was if I had somebody who needed mentorship, I'm going to help them and try to navigate into the Canadian healthcare. But because there's nobody in the audience there, I want to go into the most important thing as an immigrant. I know we are all here about relocation. I don't want us to look at relocation or JAKPA as just moving addresses or moving away from our home countries. Arthur is talking about his success story, and I'm so proud of him and really in awe of all that he's done. But let's remember that we can't really break through if we're broken. We need to make sure that our health is the priority. If we don't make health our priority, the most important vessel of all this JAKPA journey is our body and our mind. And Divine touched on why is there a high divorce rate and whatnot. We need to talk about our mental health. We need to talk about our physical health. We need to talk about all this while we're pursuing all this success. We have even physicians who have never even done a physical examination. I want to start by saying if you're a new immigrant or even if you're not a new immigrant, I want you guys to all get a family physician. Have your own family doctor. If you don't have a family doctor, please go on Alberta Find a Physician. I'm going to put some of these on my page, and Divine, I'm going to tag you along just so you can also put that. Preventive medicine or preventive care is the key. You need to find a doctor who knows what is unique with your ethnic background. I'm a physician, and I'm telling you, we are told You know what? For men, don't start prostate screening until they're 50 years old. My Black patients start at 35 to get diagnosed with prostate cancer. Okay? We're not going to look at what they do for our Caucasian counterparts. Look for a doctor who understands your ethnicity. Preventive care, high blood pressure, diabetes, they're higher in the Black population than other ethnicities. Know your numbers. What's my blood sugar number? What's my cholesterol number? What's my blood pressure number? While we are pursuing all this, because if we don't have health, my mother says, health is wealth. Health is wealth, and prevention is better than cure.
There was something he sent to me one time which was very profound, and I had to pause, right? It was one of those times when it's a new year that's about to start, and that's when everybody's coming up with, resolutions, things you want to do, plans. And I was already thinking about the next year and everything, and there was something he sent to me, and, it put across all the different things that, as a human, you want to achieve, okay? Financial stability, the box is there, right? Peace in your family, whether your career or whatever. All the different boxes, anything you can think of that is important to you if you're thinking about your goals in the next 1 or 2 years. Whatever it is, just put it there, put a box next to it. And the final box at the bottom was health. Please, everybody, with a round of applause, please help us and thank Dr. Debbie and Arthur for being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You gotta listen, no pretending, we just send it, man. It's all real, I swear the JAKPA stories are a big deal.
The reasons why we started JAKPA Stories was because we wanted to share our experiences and our stories so that other people who are in different parts of their immigration journey, whether they're thinking of immigrating, or they're already in the process of immigrating, or they just landed, whether in Canada, in US, in Australia, wherever it is, right? I want us to think about these different phases when we have the conversation tonight, because it's going to help to touch some of the different areas where people find very challenging.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Apart from the financial shock of international student tuition being 3 times what other people pay, and then you have to struggle to go through all of that, it just makes life really miserable. Because for me personally, I struggled financially through all those years. The tuition was just a lot.
Yeah.
Before you finish paying the tuition, and then you have to pay the rent, and then you have to feed, and then the assignments were too much. These people can give assignments. God. It's not like education back home that you probably will not do the assignment and get away with it. And then back home, being a full-time student is a full-time job.
Yeah.
They can ask you, what do you do for a living? You're a student. But yeah, what do you do for a living? Being a student is not what you do for a living. So you have all of that tuition to pay. You have to work after school to make ends meet. And then the assignments are not helping. But you have to do the assignments, because if you ignore it and then you go into exams, you realize that all of those assignments already made like 50% or 60%.
Right.
And just passing the exams alone does not make you pass the course. Yeah. Of course, I had moments where, for most times, in my very first year, I don't think anybody really understood me when I spoke. And they will always tell me, can you slow down? Can you speak slowly? Can you pronounce the word again? And I'm there thinking I'm killing it and I'm speaking really well, but they struggled with understanding how I spoke.
Right.
Over time, it got better because I got a job at a call center where all I was doing was talking. And so with the plenty talking, I got to learn how to talk in a way and manner that I will be understood. But that was a challenge for me too. Yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. Well, I don't envy you guys though, because I can imagine, schooling and then having to think about paying your bills, going to work at the same time, and then the entire class. So, but absolutely respect how you navigated that, and we're going to come back to you because right now we just touched on the before, right? And we're going to touch on the after, so you can give us a really good picture of how the after related back to the before. When you call yourself a ServiceNow maestro, what exactly do you mean?
So I'll say, like from the word maestro, like a master of an art. I've been in this ecosystem for quite a while. I've brought on a couple of people too for quite some time. But at the same time too, I don't fail to recognize how we all started, right? Back at home in Nigeria, I'm a chemical engineer, a dynamic simulation consultant and all that. I did the same in the UK before coming to Canada, so everything was nice. But I learned very fast how much shareholders' profits are very important in the Western world. Then I started transitioning because when Neji came in, within a week, he had like 10 interviews and got almost 3 jobs at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, I've been here applying application for the position of a chemical engineer for almost a year, and I went back to SATS, to school, right, and all that, and nothing was happening. So I started reading on trying to become a database administrator. Like, that was my first leg into it, because as a dynamic simulation engineer in chemical engineering, I did some C++ and all that, but I was like, okay, DBs are quite popular, so let me switch over. I was learning my SQL. He showed me Udemy and all that stuff. While he was getting all the jobs, I was studying, yeah.
I know we've been talking about ServiceNow, but if you were to explain that to a 4-year-old, what is ServiceNow?
So ServiceNow is a software as a service platform. So it's a cloud application where companies subscribe to this platform in order to enhance their digital operations, or in order to transform from manual operations to digital operations, i.e., if you call, like for Nigeria, yes. So if you call MTN, that call log is logged as an enhancement. The back end of that call is powered by ServiceNow. If you call Bell, 90% to the mid/large scale companies in North America are all using ServiceNow because it helps enhance their processes from ticketing, project management, software asset management, hardware asset management, interaction, user experience, the whole breadth of enhancing the way they work from an analog to a more digitalized process. For those that don't know too, I developed the curriculum for ServiceNow with SATS, South Alberta Institute of Technology. I'm currently lecturing in SATS. Yeah, so it could be an opportunity. We're currently running the fall program of the curriculum. There'll be another program in February. So maybe that could be an opportunity that if you want to get to know more or get into this ecosystem. There are challenges for beginners, yes, but ServiceNow changed my life,
Amazing. What learnings from that particular experience can you share with the audience that would help others focus a little bit more from the learnings that you got from that particular?
We come from a family where of academics. We kind of grew up, the Taiwan Sakon family, Agam is here, merged, it's one family. We all grew up with one thing. From the day you were born, all of us know how to play chess, and we don't even know how. We all learned how to play chess. But we just knew, am I speaking right? Obah, right?
Oh, yeah.
We all know how to play chess.
I have a challenge with Kelly on chess. Let's Kelly.
Yeah, and and for me, if you ask me how did I learn, I say I don't know.
Yeah.
I just knew that because when we were told to go, this is how you have to go, and all of that. But to answer your question first, I want to actually give a lot of credence and props to Obah here, because when I went to Deloitte, I was hired because I told a story. And the story I told came from being fired at that job, which I'll tell you about shortly. And I got hired, and then they were like, "You're going to Walmart in the U.S." I was like, "Walmart?" So yeah, Bentonville, Arkansas. They flew me there, showed up there. They say, "Hey, here's ServiceNow." They threw me 25 books. You have 3 days, read up all of this, integrate ServiceNow and Workday. Workday is this whatever system. I somehow figured it out. But when I figured it out, when I go home, I go back to the house and I go back to Canada. And I saw Obah studying on his DBA, and I was like, at that point, it struck on me, that experience was like, learning never ends. You have to open yourself up to new knowledge. So the moment I told Obah, I was like, "Hey, dude, this is the future. Me, I don't like it. Come and jump on this thing." And instantly I watched him close his Oracle and whatever and focus on this thing. And the way he killed it, man, like even I today, I'm so proud. Like every time I tell people, I'm like, this guy in 1 month, man, this guy had gotten this thing. This guy had written the exams. This guy had got his first job, first gig at ATB. That's the one I told him, I said, okay, usually the first job we get in the new field, we use it to learn the ropes. So eventually we get to meet some managers who may not like us, whatever reason, racism, whatever, we don't care. But it's part of the process of growth. So and he didn't just stop there, he actually expanded the knowledge. I can see at least 5 to 10 people here, 10 families here that are actually benefiting from just that sharing that knowledge and that pathway. And that to me, I think it's a source of so much pride. Because back then when you came to Canada, they told you had to go to the factory to go work. That was what they told you. And I didn't blame. In fact, when I came, I told Anna, I said, "Look, man, I'm ready to become a bouncer. I'm ready to go to the gym again. I'm ready to," like, no, literally, I was ready to do anything. So to the experience around getting fired, what happened was, before coming to Canada, I took 100 courses online on Udemy. I still have my Udemy account. I still have 104 courses. And I was trying to go to the UK originally because Nigeria got so hard. Nigeria happened to me, money owed here, extreme hardship. Couldn't pay rent, all that kind of things happened to me there. So I was like, you know what? I'm done with that country. I want to go to the UK. And the only way to go to the UK was to become a game developer. So I learned how to build games. And I built a game that only America could play. This guy right here. Yeah, like literally this has happened. So while I said, okay, let me just apply Canada thingy because Obah was here in Canada pushing me every day. I applied. Sorry, I know my story is long, but please I'm coming somewhere. So I applied and somehow I got into Canada by crossing the cutoff, the express entry score. I actually passed only by 1 mark. The cutoff score was 415. I got in with 416. So when I got in, I sent these guys in Montreal. They call 123 load board. I sent them whatever. I said, hey, I'm this mobile developer. I did this, I did that. They hired me remotely. And in 2 weeks, man, the way these guys fired me, even me, like the way they fired me, and it's not that I was bad though. It was just that the ways of working in Africa and the ways of working here are totally different. It's different culture, it's different, so when I got fired, rather than take it, like I asked myself, I was like, okay, why did I get fired? I did the introspection. And I started doing research. And that research led me down so many pathways. I found out that, okay, before, when you go to work, this is how it is, this is the approach. And you have to understand that you're, just like Obah said, you are just a number on the spreadsheet at work. Your boss is not your boyfriend or your colleague or your whatever. Like, you're just a number on the spreadsheet. They can be nice to you, but they can actually literally kick you out right there. That experience prepared me to be dynamic in my thinking. It prepared me to explore the possibility that what I am preparing for might not be what I would end up doing actually. So I ended up taking 100 courses, learning everything from database design, product management, Scrum, all the things you guys can talk about. I literally had to learn almost everything. And I ended up with one philosophy that said, I am everything, but at the same time, I am nothing. And the meaning of that is like, I am open to learning, I'm open to seeing myself doing anything. I'm humble enough to realize what I do not know. I am open to knowledge, new knowledge. At the same time, when I achieve that knowledge, I am also not going to define myself just by it. So by being nothing means I can still keep doing what I'm doing. So that experience kind of like broadened my perspective. I came to Canada, like I told you, first week, 3 jobs. I was confused which one to do. And then somehow that's how I just woke up one day. I was like, you know what, I'm quitting. I had 2 jobs at the same time. I was running from airport. Sometimes I would drive the dog. This guy's calling me at the other job. So I was like, literally, this is in person. So I just woke up one day and I told all of them to F off and went to Deloitte. And I said, okay, I'm taking Deloitte here. And that's how I actually landed into ServiceNow, and somehow we are where we are. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that background. And huge learnings, by the way. They don't have to literally be begging for jobs. They want to prepare themselves ahead of time so that they can attract the recruiters to get to them. So thank you for sharing that. Really appreciate it. My sister, back to you. I don't know if everyone here knows that Nadine used to be a beauty queen. Do you guys know?
We cannot know.
But today, she's actually a leader when it comes to risk management. And she has moved across all the big fours here in Canada and currently leads a team that really focuses on risk management and audit.
My own story, across all the firms I worked for, I always led the Black Professional Network. And so there was nobody who ever resigned in any of the firms I worked for that I did not know that they were going to resign, because we've been having conversations about it for months, leading up to the day where they eventually just drop the notice and leave. People were struggling a lot, especially with the culture shock, with getting their expertise being recognized and rewarded in the workplace. It's possible that you're getting all of the job done, but promotion is coming and somebody else is getting the promotion, not necessarily because they did more work than you. People leave their countries, very top-level professionals, best at their game. They come in here, completely lose the confidence, and then before you realize they're getting fired upon fired upon fired, not because they don't know what they're doing, but because, and I'm so glad for the way that he was able to just pivot from a layoff. Most people never do. And so you realize that somebody will get laid off from one job, and then they go to the next job, they get laid off again, because the pain and the hurt and everything that happened on the prior one, they've carried it to the next one, and then they are not showing up as their confident selves. In the workplace here, confidence is 90% of the job. Yeah. You have to have mastery, like know what you're doing, but if you're not confidently talking about what you're doing, you're going to get doubted. And the moment they have the slightest amount of doubt in you, you cannot change their mind anymore. It's done from there. Yeah. But most people did not have that kind of confidence that I had. And a lot of times when I'm talking to them, I always say, they take you for granted, because when you go into a meeting and you're trying to make a point and someone shuts you off, you stay quiet. You don't emphasize and prove that, hey, I understand the technicality of what I'm talking about. I got the job done. So I'm going to deliver my point because I know what I'm talking about. I believe what I'm saying is right, and I did the work. When you find yourself in that situation, you just shut down. You just say nothing. You just get out. They start seeing you as that incompetent person, and then it starts affecting you, and then you actually really move into becoming incompetent because it finally just manifests, and then your career just gets destroyed like that. So you need that strong will to put your feet on the ground and stand still and don't let anything shake you.
I love that. I love that. I think a lot of us here that do corporate work, like that's something we've all experienced one way or the other, right? A lot of times with the bills that we have to pay, right? When you think about rent, you think about mortgage, you think about just keeping the lights on, right? Sometimes you take a lot of shit at work. Permit my word, but you take a lot of that because you need to keep the lights on. But sometimes in the process of keeping the lights on, your mental health is being impacted. There's a whole lot going on internally, and you're really just showing up to work every day as a zombie, just trying to keep things going because you have bills to pay, you have things that have to get done. Ladies and gentlemen, please a round of applause for our panelists tonight. Really, really great conversations. If you want to hear more of it, go to JAKPA Stories _ podcast. We're going to be sitting down with each of the panelists, and for a lot of you as well, I know most of us have stories. Okay, we have a QR code that we're going to be sharing. If you want to be a guest on the podcast, all you need to do is just scan the QR code. We schedule some time with you so we can peel off some layers which we can't obviously touch here on the launch party. But once again, ladies and gentlemen, please appreciate our panelists tonight. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for being gracious with your time.